Coach, obviously now after this weekend, you guys know your opponent. How nice has it been to kind of have that opportunity to start preparing for a face now?
It's good. We had a couple practices in there to work on kind of ourselves, which was good. But yeah, it's good to know who you're playing, so you have a purpose, and the guys can actually watch some film and know what they're looking at.
Coach hinted at last week that you guys may be able to get Ray Scott and Jacob Dobbs back on defense in this bowl game. How nice would it be to have some of those older guys in at linebacker?
It would be very nice. I think Dobbs was pretty close the last game. Obviously, like if you can't be, somewhere around 75, 80%, you don't want him to play because he's one of those kids that is just going to go no matter what. Like he's going to go 100 miles per hour. So like you're almost like more cautious with a guy like him because he's going to hurt himself the first chance he gets. But I think he's getting to the point now where he's ready to go. And then Ray is just, he was really coming on late in the season. Starting to play really well. He's starting to pick it up. He's starting to play fast, and he's 245 pounds and can run like the way he can run. He was starting to. That's where I think we were really excelling. When those two guys were on the field, we were different. So it'd be nice to get him back and maybe play a couple series with those two guys on the field. It'd be pretty cool.
What have you seen so far early on from their starting quarterback, Velkamp? He's not only someone who can get it done through the air, but on the ground as well.
Yeah, I just was watching him play and just said, watching him run one of the quarterback powers, and you watch him get to the outside, and I was watching him, I was like, man, this guy, for as tall as he is, he's pretty athletic, and he's got some decent hips for, being such a long kid. You don't realize until you get in those tight shots, you're like, oh my God, this guy's huge. Yeah, he's a good player. I like him. You can see why some of the other quarterbacks are leaving. I would probably do the same if I was playing behind him. I mean, he's a talented guy, can run, stands in the pocket at times and just like towers over the offensive line, and throws a good ball. And I think he's starting to pick up their offense and how they want to run it. You can see him changing the plays a lot and talking to the receivers and doing a good job of changing some of those things on the perimeter. I think he's really becoming, I guess, the quarterback that they want to have there.
You mentioned kind of the last few days being able to do good on good and work on you all selves. How valuable is this extra practice time, these extra reps, and the chance of getting to even take the field one more time? Because I feel like that's kind of always a talking point in the month of December for teams that get a bowl game. Yeah,
you just kind of like work on yourselves and you work on the things that have kind of beaten you throughout the course of the year. Like there's certain things that just show up week after week, and not week after week. I mean, there's certain things that show up 3 or 4 times, and you kind of see that this isn't something this team's done, all year, but then they play us and they do it. So, you want to work on those things. People are basically saying, hey, here's your issues. You better fix them or you're going to, so we've worked on some of that stuff. Each bye week, we, took some time and went through a self-scout and looked at, where are we giving up explosives, what's not working, what is working. And then we had a chance to do that. As soon as the season was over, as soon as we got done with Marshall, did the same thing. Okay, what happened in the last couple games? And that's really what we focused on, just so you don't see the same thing beat you again. Like there's no excuse for that, and that's all on me. And I've got to get those things fixed. So if anything, it's an opportunity for the staff to get some of the things that we need to get fixed.
What have you kind of seen from number 3 Elijah Young? Yeah, like a 108-yard rushing game against Jacksonville State last week.
What about
number
him?
3? Yeah, just what do you see from him on the film?
He's pretty good. He probably doesn't have the stats of some of the guys we played this year, but I think if you put him in the group of running backs, he's probably like in the top 3 or 4 running backs we've seen this year. I think he's got like 20 catches or something like that, 25 catches, whatever it may be. But quick, explosive. When he gets going, like he's a tough tackle. So he's a good player.
Yeah, with Velkamp being such a big guy, and then of course, you've had 2 edges that have really been getting a lot of sacks this year. How effective do you think you guys will be in terms of being able to get to the quarterback in a game like that?
They do a pretty good job of protecting, 7-man protecting and stuff like that. So we've got to be a little bit creative on our side too of helping our guys get there. Their left tackle didn't play the last 2 games. He's a pretty good sized kid and a pretty good player. I think the backup's not bad either. I mean, our edge guys got to do what our edge guys do. The one thing they can't be is greedy and selfish, and they haven't been all year. They've kind of done what we've asked them to do. When their key says play run, they've got to play the run. When their key says pass, they got to go rush the passer and make sure they keep, edges on the quarterback and not let this guy scramble, because obviously he can do that. But, yeah, they've just got to keep doing what they've been doing.
Eric O'Neal was named first team all-conference last week. We've talked about him throughout the year, but are you surprised by how far he's come and how well he's playing right now after he first got here? Obviously, he was productive at LIU, and you got to see him in the spring. But can you just kind of talk to the year that he's had?
Yeah, he's. I was thinking about this morning driving. I was thinking about Eric O'Neal driving into work this morning. It sounds weird. He's a numbers changer. And what I mean by that is, everybody accounts for a defensive player, especially up front, with one offensive player. You can't do that against him. He will beat most offensive players one-on-one in most instances. He wins. And not a lot of guys in this league or at this level do that. So he changes math. He allows us almost in a way to play with 11 and a half guys. You don't have a lot of those guys. There's not a lot of those guys running around there, and I can't screw it up. By the calls that I make, and I can't and Sam doesn't screw him up. But that's what he is. He's a math changer. He handles essentially two gaps. Most of the time in the run game, and that's what people talk about his sacks and his TFLs and all. Just look at him first and second down. What he does to offensive tackles if he can't block them. We give him some freedoms at times to do different things, and he doesn't abuse it. He's a great teammate. He's a great player. He's a great kid to coach. He does exactly what you tell him to do, or he tries to do exactly what you try to tell him to do every single play. You really can't ask for anything. And he plays hard. He practices hard. He's a great human being. He's honestly, he's a blessing. You watch the film. I remember watching his film at, Long Island, and, he's playing inside. He's playing a lot of really D-tackle. And just watching him run the ball, I'm like, man, this guy could be, a perfect five technique, our perfect, what we call our big end. He could be a really good big end for us, and we were right. He was a home run.
Anybody else you were thinking about on the way to work today?
I was thinking about Manny. Manny's a match changer too. Manny Bush. He's a match changer. And I guess it comes from watching Self Scout the last couple days and watching the whole season, watching each call, and as you're going through it, you're just kind of looking at guys that are like, damn, you can't block that guy one-on-one. You may be able to, when he's playing, the A gap, you might be able to block him one-on-one, but when he starts moving to the, out, or he starts moving across the center's face, and he's doing all those different things, people are having a tough time blocking him. And so those two guys, just rewatching the season and going through, those guys, they were a big part of the reason why we had, one of the better defenses in the country this year.
Talk about your corners a little bit, Terrence and Jordan in particular, just because they didn't begin the year as your starters, and then Ray Williams starts as a safety. He's playing a lot of corner late in the year. You've had to adjust that room quite a bit this year. I'm sure you're proud of what they've done throughout the year, aren't you?
Yeah. Terrence has battled injuries the past couple weeks. He's been banged up, but he's done a good job, and I think he's going to be healthy. I'm really hoping he's 100% going this game, and he should be. He's been when he's healthy, he's pretty damn good. He's hard to throw the ball on, and you think you got a good chance every time to throw the ball up. You got a chance of getting a pick. I like that. Jordan, early in the year it was rough. He had a rough, and we almost kind of had to bench him a little bit after the Charlotte game, and there's a couple other games in there where we kind of. But man, the dude kept a smile on his face and just kept coming to practice every day and working. and then he's gotten himself better. Like, he has improved. He's a fifth-year senior that never stopped and didn't put his head down, didn't say, oh, I don't belong here, or, just worked. That's what we talk about here. Just work and get better, find things that you need to improve at. And he found the things he needed to improve at, and he got better, and he got his job back. And then who was the last guy?
And Ray.
Ray, honestly, like, Ray came here with the intent of playing safety, recruited him to play safety. And after probably 10 practices, that's bad on me. Honestly, like, should have moved him to corner sooner. If we would have did that earlier, I think he would have been really, really solid option for us at corner. And because he's become a solid option for us at corner. He covers well. He tackles well. He's a good football player. He doesn't have the speed that Jordan has, probably doesn't have the range that Terrence has, but when it's all said and done, he's probably a better football player than both. When it's all said and done, he can tackle, he can cover, he's got short area quickness, and he's got some football IQ that you really can't coach. So it's one of those things that, I'm glad we did it, though. I'm glad we got, 5 games out of him. I'm glad we're going to be able to get a bowl game out of him. But all 3 of those guys, like, unbelievable guys to coach.
Is Western Kentucky, are they a pretty high up tempo team?
They'll play with tempo at times. They'll get on the ball quickly. And then there's at times, they'll get on the ball quickly and change the play. So obviously we got to be prepared for that. But yeah, I mean, it's like most teams that we play, somewhere around, 20 seconds they're on the ball on the shot clock, 25 seconds on the shot clock. Sometimes they snap it and go. Sometimes, they're going to, change the play and snap it with 15 seconds left. So it's nothing that, we haven't been used to or haven't seen.
Just a quick one. I'll follow up on Eric. I know earlier in the year when we asked you about him, you're like, when he's doing all those dances and stuff, I don't know who that guy is because it's like a different guy.
Still don't.
Have you coached anybody like that before where it's just they almost kind of turn into a different beast on the field?
No, like I guess it was the first game when I saw him do that. I was like, is that Eric doing that? Like, that just, like, and he's like just kind of to himself. Now he'll joke around now and he's loosened up a little bit, but like I just remember him, the serious kid from Staten Island, coming down and like in his Camaro, like down from Staten Island with his brother, and like I was like, yeah, this is what we need. We need one of these like I don't know, like Goombas from like Staten Island. This is what we need. We need an enforcer, and like this serious kid. And then you see him doing all this dancing and celebrating, and I'm like, where does this stuff come from? But no, honestly, the dude loves football and he has fun. Like, so I have no complaints. Not what I would do. I'm not a big fan of all the dancing and celebrating. Like, you can tell I kind of like turn my nose to it a little bit, but like I do like that they're having fun and they're enjoying themselves. That's important.
Kind of a last one on Eric too. When, as a coach who's been at the FBS level now for several years, do you ever look at Eric and kind of wonder like how no one found him earlier, playing at a small FCS school, to kind of now being this hidden gem who has stepped up into the FBS and really, really made a name for himself?
It's a result of probably the COVID, the whole COVID crisis. Like that was it. Like, talking to his high school coach and stuff like that. Like that's all it was. It was just he was in a public school, had to transfer. They weren't playing football, And then the other thing is like, and this is all over college football right now, obviously. Like, but and big schools don't have patience to do this because they don't have time because athletic directors don't give them time. But like kids come in and they develop themselves, in the high school level. Kids come in that are 260-pound seniors in college, but they come into high school and they're 190 pounds, and that's him. Like, he just kind of grew, and he wasn't this when he was a high school junior, like at all. Like he was a shell of this. He's become this, and he's worked himself into this throughout 3 years of college. He's developed into what he is now. He wasn't this for sure as a senior or a junior in high school. He's developed. He's all developed, and it's like anything. I don't know if he is like. I don't think there's talent for sure in there. I don't know if there's a lot of talent, but I know what there is. There's a lot of work and a lot of will and like a lot of commitment to the game. Like that's what that kid has a lot of. And in a lot of ways, that's a hell of a lot more important than talent. But if you look at him, like he's made himself into a really good college football player.